Welcome to the America's Card Room Poker Tutorial. Today, I'm going to walk you through how to play everyone's favorite card game, Texas Hold'em. Now let's start with a few basics. First off, we have a deck of cards, preferably with 52 of them, otherwise it's time to look for a different deck. A dealer button and something called blinds, which we will get into shortly. Now, the button is a physical round disc that moves around the table clockwise. The button determines the player acting as the dealer at the table and moves to the next player after each hand is finished. The dealer button basically lets everyone know which two players are required to put in the blinds and which player is first to act. What are the blinds? Well, I thought you'd never ask. Let me explain. Before each hand, two players must post blinds in the form of a small and a big blind. The small blind is the player to the immediate left of the dealer button, and the big blind is the player to the immediate left of them. In Texas Hold'em poker tournaments, blinds are raised regularly to induce action. However, in a cash game, blinds are generally fixed and stay the same. Now, let's say we're playing at a 5-10 cash game. What's that mean? Well, the small blind is 5 and the big blind is 10. So now that we have the dealer button and the blinds posted, let's get down to dealing. We deal clockwise around the table, starting with the small blind. Each player gets 2 cards and they remain face down. Trust me, do not show your opponents your cards. This will not work well for you. Once all cards have been dealt, it's time to start the fun part, betting. Since we have the blinds already posted, the action starts on the player to the left of the big blind. This player now has 3 choices: fold, call, or raise. If the player folds, they simply toss in their cards face down to the dealer. They can kick back, relax, and wait for their next hand. If the player calls, they must match the big blind amount. If the player raises, they're deciding to increase the size of the bet, and other players will now have to at least match that size as a minimum if they want to continue. After all players have called the same bet amount, we get to see the first 3 community cards known as the flop. With those 3 cards now exposed, another round of betting commences, starting with the player to the left of the dealer button. This player can choose to check or bet. Checking signals that there's no intention to make a bet, and the player to their left now has the option to check or bet themselves. But if this player decides to bet, things get interesting. With a bet on the table, the next player must either call the bet, aka match the bet sizing, or fold the bet, which is tossing their cards to the dealer and bowing out of the hand, or raise, which means increase the bet sizing more than the original bet. The move this player makes determines what the player to his left must do next. It should be noted that betting only ends once all remaining players have called the last bet and every player has contributed an equal amount to the pot. So after the flop round of betting is completed, we throw out a 4th community card known as the turn, and we get down to business with another round of betting, just like we did on the flop. Now, after this round of betting is complete, we get to see the last card known as the river. This puts all 5 community cards on the table and the final round of betting will start. Again, check, raise, call, or fold, the choice is yours. When all betting is complete, the remaining players must now turn their whole cards over. Whoever has the highest 5-card hand using any combination of the community cards and their 2 hold cards wins the pot. So what beats what? Let me walk you through it. Let's start at the bottom with high card. Now this is simply 5 unmatched cards and generally not something I'd recommend being proud of. Next up is 1 pair. Simply put, 2 cards that match, easy game. Then we have 2 pair. Just like 1 pair, but you have 2 of them. Then we cruise over to 3 of a kind. This is just 3 cards that match, sometimes known as trips or a set. Now let's check out some of the stronger hands like a straight. This is simply 5 consecutive cards in a row where the suits don't have to match. The next best hand is a flush. This is any 5 cards of the same suit and generally a pretty strong hand until we get to a full house. A full house is actually a combination of 3 of a kind along with any pair. Now as things get even more intense, we look at 4 of a kind, aka quads. This is all 4 of 1 card, which generally speaking, we will be betting the farm on. However, we are in trouble if we run into the next strongest hand, which is a straight flush. Now, a straight flush is, simply put, a combination of a straight and a flush. So essentially, you will have 5 cards in a row that all match the same suit. Now, this hand should pretty much always win unless we run into the champion of all hands, the royal flush. A royal flush is essentially a straight flush, but specifically from 10 to ace. And if you have that hand, take a deep breath, remain calm, and your biggest problem is how to win all of the money from your opponents. So what's next? Another hand, of course, baby. We just move the dealer button 1 spot clockwise, and we start this party all over again. Good luck out there, my friends, and as the legend Mike Sexton would say, may all your cards be live and your pots be monsters. See you guys on the felts.